Doors allow you to enter a property and move from one room to another. Door hanging is a vital skill in carpentry. Over the next few minutes, you'll see how a door is hung. A hollow door has a solid section on one side. This allows a lock or a latch to be fitted. It's important that this side is hung on the lock side. If not, there'll be nothing to fit the lock or the latch into. Doors come in standard sizes, with a standard height of 1,981 millimeters, or 6'6", and a width of 762 millimeters, or 2'6". Most door openings should fit this size. It's important to place the door before hanging it to check that it fits. If the door won't fit in the opening, you may need to plane it to fit. A well-hung door should have a 2 mm gap around the top and the sides of the door, with space at the bottom to clear the floor covering. Keeping the door tight to the hanging side, check that there's a 4 mm gap down the lock side. Use wedges at the bottom to raise the door to the required height. If, when it's raised, there isn't a parallel gap at the top or an even gap at the sides, then the opening is not square. You might need additional planing to get a good fit. You can now mark the position of the hinges. The top hinge is usually marked 150 mm down from the top of the door. This measurement is to the top of the hinge. Use the pencil to mark with a cross the side of the line that the hinge will be fitted to. The bottom hinge can be marked as well. The distance is usually 225 mm. This measurement is to the bottom of the bottom hinge. Again, mark the position of the hinge with a cross. The bottom hinge is placed differently to the top hinge. This is because when the door is open, the top hinge will take most of the weight. This means the bottom hinge doesn't need to be so close to the door. The next step is to back bevel both edges. Back beveling the hinge side will hopefully prevent the door from binding. Remove the arris to prevent a sharp corner. This will help to stop the edge from splitting if hit. Turn the door round and plane a slight back bevel on the lock side. This will prevent the door from catching when it's opened. An opening door is on a slight angle and will measure longer than a closed door. Remove the arris from this edge also. Line up the hinge with the pencil and make a mark on the hinge side of the door. Then use a square to mark the lines. Next, mark out the hinge positions on the opening where the door will hang. Set a marking gauge to the correct width and transfer this to every hinge position. Now set the marking gauge to the correct depth and transfer this measurement. With the door secured, it can now be chiselled out to receive the hinges. The frame can now be chiselled to receive the door. The hinge can be screwed in place into the hole you've chiselled out. Line up the hinges to the recesses in the frame so the door can be hung. Once the door is placed, you'll need to close the door to check the fit is accurate and correct. You'll also be able to see if the door's catching when it's being opened.